Welcome to Delta Data Services. This is the part 2 of Tasks and Workflows video. In the first part, we looked at tasks and workflows in action and learned how they can be set up manually through the front end of Zoho CRM and customized in the administrator setup. It is recommended that you watch part 1 first before proceeding with this video. We will link it below the like button. Well, what if you could have tasks set up automatically, assigned the user you specify, and created based on a record action? You could find some uses for automatically generated tasks in your business. This is a possibility in Zoho CRM and relatively simple to implement, and that is what we are going to get to in this video today. There are always 2 parts to any automatic action in Zoho CRM. The first part is the action, and the second part is the workflow rule that triggers the action and pushes it through to implement the requirements. In today's video, I'll show you how to set up automatic tasks to be generated and assigned using task actions, and how to use these task actions and workflows in the automatic setup in Zoho CRM. Let's go over setting up the task action. First, go to the Settings menu in the upper right corner of Zoho CRM. Under Automation, select Actions. Navigate to Tasks. Click on the Create Task button. Set up the fields in the task. First comes the subject that you want to give to this task each time it is created. If you want to include auto-populated fields, start by typing the hash symbol, and the available fields will pop up. Select the fields you want to include in the subject. For example, you can include the first and last name of a lead. Next, we will set the due date. This can be based on the number of days before or after the trigger rule date, or any other date field in the task module. Now set the status of the task. These statuses can be modified in the Setup menu, as explained in the part 1 of this tutorial. The priority of this task is high, and this can be tweaked as well. Select the owner to be assigned to the task. If you don't set an owner here, then the owner of the record will be assigned as the owner of the task. You can also opt to send an immediate alert to the owner and a scheduled reminder as well. Upon completion of all these fields, the task action is ready and can now be saved. Once saved, you can return at any time to edit the task action, and it will change the automatic tasks being created. We will now move on to the setup of a workflow rule that will push the action through and create the automatic task. Navigate to the Setup menu from the top right. Under Automation, click on Workflow Rules. Click on Create Rule. Select the module that the workflow rule will work on. In this case, we are creating a new task. When a new lead is created, so the workflow rule is on the leads module. Next, name the workflow rule and provide a description for the workflow rule. In the next step, you start setting up the workflow rule. The first step is to decide when you want to execute the workflow rule. It can be based on a record action. For our example, we will create a task when a new lead is created. That is, a record is created. You can create a workflow that runs when a record is edited or created or edited. You can also make a workflow that runs when a field is updated or a record is deleted. You can set the workflow rule to execute a specified number of days before or after the date selected, as well as specify the time of day to trigger the workflow rule. Lastly, you can trigger the workflow rule based on the score that is determined from Zoho Sales IQ. Sales IQ will score a record, such as a lead or contact, based on how that lead interacts on your website. When you click Next, you are then able to set criteria for records that will trigger the workflow, or you can opt to have all records trigger the workflow. For example, only leads matching the criteria, where lead source is an advertisement, will trigger the workflow rule. Moving on, you can now associate the actions you want to this workflow rule. We will be selecting the task that we just created in this video. Select the action and hit Associate. You can associate up to 3 other actions to a single workflow as well. Save your workflow rule. To complete this setup, the workflow is now named by the name you gave it and available for your edit if necessary. Now it's time to test your workflow. Test your workflow rule, and once you are sure it's working exactly per requirements, sit back and let it do all the heavy lifting for you. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for more Zoho admin and user tips, as well as other information from Delta Data Services. You can get in touch with us on the phone number provided on the screen, or visit our website at www.dds-llc.com.